She is a corporate trainer who teaches cybersecurity basics by day, works on her novel by night, and makes art on the weekends. Occasionally, she tells stories events like "Do Not Submit" is this thing and serving a sentence. Please put your hands together for Kate Pryor!
Hopefully I don't have to use the notes. That's lovely. Perfect. Thanks.
One more time for Kate!
So for most of 2022, I spent every Sunday noon at the Glenwood Artist Market. Now, technically, it was the Glenwood Bar up in Rogers Park, but it was just a really nice way for them to host a bunch of artists and have us sell our work and show our stuff and just kind of shoot the shit. Now, the market always had these amazing young artists, and one of the best Sundays I was at was with a young artist named whom we'll call Craig. Now, during the pandemic, like many artists, Craig had been laid off. And so he started drawing during the pandemic. And so when he's at the artist market, he had 3 designs. The first was a primitively drawn skull, and it had lettering below it that said, "I am smiling." The second one was of Cthulhu. Now, somebody asked me the last time I told the story, who's Cthulhu? Cthulhu is a sci-fi fantasy character. He has the head of an octopus, he's got bat wings, and he's a human body. He's a giant monster. You summon him and he destroys the world. But there's a lot of illustrators who will draw him cute instead of being a monster. And so the way that they draw him is they'll draw him like Hello Kitty and put a bow on his head, and have things that are like My Little Cthulhu. This is what Craig did. He actually put a conductor's cap on Cthulhu and had him drive a CTA train. But his third design, the first 2 designs he had on stickers, mugs, bags. The third design was only on t-shirts. And he had one of these t-shirts hanging up in the Glenwood's bar's main window. And as people were walking by the Glenwood, they would stop, see this t-shirt, walk into the Glenwood, past all of the other artists, and go up to Craig and say, "Is that real?" Now, the design on this t-shirt was 4 words in a really pretty cursive, like a 70s style cursive. And it said, "Rogers Park Alley Walkers." And Craig would look at the shirt saying, "No, it's not real. It's just something I designed during the pandemic." And people would be really disappointed. Oh. But then they'd say, "Do you have that in size large?" So Craig was selling shirts left and right that day. It was kind of frustrating when you're an artist and you're selling $5 worth of stuff and Craig's got up to $150. It was what was more interesting was watching everybody come in and ask, "Is that real?" People were really interested in the Rogers Park Alley Walkers. There's something magical in the Rogers Park alleys. But full disclosure, even I had asked that. I was new to Chicago and I thought, is there something about the alleys that I don't know about? Now, Rogers Park, we're a rough neighborhood, sometimes, but we're largely residential. There's lots of apartments, lots of houses. There's a lot of old service streets where back in the day, if you had an ice box, you'd need ice or milk. And so these are now alleys. And as I was walking around my neighborhood in the evening one night, I saw an alley. Not every alley looks safe, but this one looked kind of okay. So I was like, let's do this. So I was walking down the alley, and at first, it was nothing special. Parked cars, nondescript backs of apartment buildings, garbage cans with a bunch of rats scuttling around them. But then, on one of the apartment buildings, the 3rd floor, was a beautiful garden. You couldn't see the exposed bricks or the wood. All you saw was this rich greenery and orange, pink, and red flowers. Walk further down the alley, and there is a house, the backyard abuts the alley, and there's a fence around the backyard. And there's a clear plexiglass screen cut into the fence. And if you peek through that clear plexiglass area, you can see this elaborate chicken coop and all these fancy breed chickens. And the owner of the house had put a mailbox on the fence next to the plexiglass, And if you open the mailbox, there's like the Coop News, which is a newsletter about the chickens. And there's also a piece of paper and like a pencil, so you could write notes to the chickens, and the owners promised to read these to the chickens. Go further down the alley, and there was an old garage with like swing out doors, and there's a man working on a green MG convertible. He had the top popped, and he's playing on his radio Frank Sinatra's Strangers in the Night, and he's whistling along to it as he's working on the car. Now, the only dangerous thing about the alley was I was walking, and there's a high chain link fence, and behind it was a very serious German Shepherd, and she was watching me as I was coming down the alley. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to deal with barking and jumping against the fence or anything. But as I walked up, she started walking with me, and she's trying to stick her nose in through the chain links of the fence. So I stopped, and I held up my hand so she could sniff it. And after sufficient inspection, she put her head against the fence so I could give her head scritches. Now, is this Las Vegas level Trump in a prison jumpsuit levels of amazing? It'd be great, right? No, it's just kind of ordinary things, but does it have to be amazing? Can't everyday life be wonderful? And you know, the cool thing was I wanted to go tell Craig, I wanted to go to the next farmers market and tell Craig and be like, guess what I did? And he wasn't there. And in fact, I've never seen him at the artist market since. So post-pandemic, he'd gotten a job, and he'd given kind of up on the design side of things. And so that day that he was in the artist market, he was selling the last of his inventory, the last mugs, t-shirts, and shirts from his Etsy shop that he opened during the pandemic. And I was sad that he kind of gave this up, you know, but it also made sense. His designs, if you think about them, the I Am Smiling Skull and Cthulhu, CTA Cthulhu, these are pandemic imagery. Fear of death and dying. But the Rogers Park Alley Walkers, you know, that is about seeking community in isolation. It's about the need to explore even mundane places when we're all told to stay home. But it's also about seeking wonder in a world when everything is so dark and divisive. So, sadly, the Rogers Park Alley Walkers is no more. Which is strange to say because really it's only a whimsical design. But does that have to be it? You know, we are in a dark and divisive world. Everybody laughed about the Trump joke here. But, you know, can't this be a thing? Can't we do something where a community and explore and find everyday wonder? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna extend an invitation. If you're looking for wonder in an ordinary world, come up to Rogers Park and find me, and we'll go explore some alleys together. Thank you.